This is a place where nature has been blessed. Stunning vistas accent this complex ecosystem. Radical changes in elevation and unpredictable extremes of weather dictate requirements for survival. This is a place of adventure, not just for the human inhabitants and wanderers, but for all the creatures who pass this way, all who play a part in life's mysterious crossroads and connections, each taking a place in the community amidst these magnificent peaks and valleys. A variety of animals have met the challenge of adaptation, and with good fortune will continue to do so. Key elements in the equation rest in the hands of one of these species. Humankind, through foresight and common sense, can help pass this priceless natural legacy on to future generations. Millions of people pass through Estes Park and Rocky Mountain National Park in search of glimpses of the wildlife that enrich this enchanting landscape. Taking the time to learn and think about this privilege will separate those who merely pass through from those who savor the experience. The majestic elk literally stand tall among these living attractions. Their large size and visible numbers give them primary status in this watchable wildlife arena. Viewing elk or any of the local fauna does not begin at the national park's boundary. It begins on all approaches to Estes Park and Rocky Mountain National Park. These are traditional elk migration routes. In the 1800s, there seemed to be an endless supply of these large members of the deer family. By the turn of the century, however, there were none. Lack of foresight on the part of market hunters resulted in the removal of every last herd member. Now, through reintroduction, and due to careful management, they are back. Large herds of these magnificent creatures have retaken their rightful place among these mountains. Patterns of migration have changed, however. Because of roads, commercial, and residential development, elk no longer extend as far out on the eastern plains of Colorado as they once did. To the west, however, elk still migrate throughout the Rocky Mountains. Today, the National Park, Estes Park, and the surrounding national forest provide a refuge for huge herds that wander everywhere, from the highest alpine tundra to residential developments. Though a few people consider their presence an inconvenience, most residents treasure the relationship. Visitors and residents who utilize proper viewing etiquette reap the rewards. Approaching and crowding is stressful to the animals and can be dangerous. Success comes from learning the animal's comfort zone. A photograph of an animal acting relaxed and natural while keeping your distance is a lot more rewarding than that of a fleeing or frightened one.
We're in Horseshoe Park in Rocky Mountain National Park right now looking at mature bull elk. It's late spring, early summer, mid-June, and the elk have already started growing their racks back. I've counted 37 mature elk. This is one of the best areas within Rocky Mountain National Park to view elk during most months of the year. During the middle of the summer, they'll be up higher. In fact, we've had kind of a late spring this year, and there's more elk down lower now than normal. But during probably 9 months out of the year, this large park or meadow here is one of the best areas to view elk. Also to the south of us, there's Moraine Park and Beaver Meadows, both, again, excellent areas to see elk. As we were watching these elk, there was another group of 5 mature bulls on the other side of the road, and we also got to watch several people chase them up the hill trying to get that perfect photograph. You know, without a telephoto lens, they tried to get closer, and they ended up ruining it for, you know, the other wildlife watchers and photographers. So again, remember to respect the animals and respect fellow viewers and photographers.
Trying to sneak up on an animal only causes them to assume that a human being is a rather clumsy predator. This doesn't work. Usually they know you are there. So the best strategy is to make them feel unthreatened. A respectful, careful study of the animal's body language, combined with a telephoto lens, will produce the desired result and leave wildlife undisturbed for others to enjoy.
One of the most frequently asked questions: when is the best time to photograph? Early morning and late afternoon, when the shadows are long, the light is subdued, and the color is saturated, offer great photographic opportunities. Morning and evening are the best times to view and photograph wildlife. These are the times when animals are most active and expressive in their natural behavior. Match your 35mm camera lenses to the subjects you are photographing. When photographing wildlife, use long telephoto lenses. A 200 to 400 lens will work in most instances.
The American elk, or wapiti as they were named by Native Americans, are large members of the deer family, second only to moose in size. Bull elk grow to 750 pounds. Cows reach 500 pounds. Although they can be found and viewed all year long, autumn is the time to study some of their classic behavior. The rut, or their mating season, normally begins in early September. Mature bulls try to dominate groups of cows in preparation for mating. The characteristic bugling begins. As the season progresses, demonstrations of strength, size, and experience accelerate. When a dominant bull is challenged by another who feels that his antlers may equal or surpass his opponent's size, fighting results. Usually, these shoving matches end by simply establishing the stronger of the two. Sometimes, however, serious or even fatal injuries result. Places where this rut behavior is displayed are known as staging areas. In Estes Park, staging is excellent to observe along Fish Creek Road near the 18-hole golf course. Although not within the national park boundaries, the same viewing rules based on respect and common sense apply here too. If elk are moving back and forth across the road, park well away from their path and watch from in or near your vehicle. In Rocky Mountain National Park, staging can be found in several locations, especially Horseshoe Park and Moraine Park. Every evening at around sundown it begins. The experience is enhanced by educational talks from park rangers.
The males come around, they become territorial. A large bull will find a group of females, he'll stay with them, he'll chase away any other bulls that are around. And he does try to keep those females together so that they're all in sight, so we can keep track of them. But those females go wherever they feel like going.
Elk gather in large herds during the winter months. These herds can be found everywhere in Estes Park and in the lower elevations of the national park. They are especially visible in Horseshoe and Moraine parks. Outside the national park, elk can be found in many places, especially off Highway 36 in Meadowdale Hills, near Mary's Lake and Arapahoe Meadows, Fish Creek Road near Carriage Hills, Highway 34, and Devil's Gulch Road. Both golf courses are also prime places to find winter herds of elk. When viewing animals, always remember to respect private property. Pull off the road to avoid traffic jams, and do not block driveways. In winter, mature bull elk form small groups. Enemies during the rut now become pals. As spring approaches, the bulls shed their antlers and immediately begin growing new ones. Covered in a sensitive, blood vessel-rich skin called velvet, the antlers grow very fast. By June, the herds begin moving to higher ground. This is the time when calves are born. Wherever the herd may be, a cow will find a suitable spot to give birth. The newborn calf must be mobile in a short period of time. A newborn has a scent recognized by its mother, but seemingly difficult to detect by coyotes and other predators. Like most mothers, cow elk are extremely protective and will aggressively defend their young against any intruder. This includes humans who try to approach. One of the best places to find elk in midsummer is high on or just below the alpine tundra where they graze. They are often seen in the Krumholtz Forest west of the Alpine Visitor Center and in the Kawanichi Valley. Cows will still be seen tending their calves. The call between a mother and her young is different from the bugle, but it is just as fascinating. Later in summer, younger bulls will spar, while older ones stand by and save their strength for the true fights of the rut yet to come. Viewing these regal mammals requires common sense, patience, respect, and practice. They are alert, have keen senses, and are surprisingly agile. Sharing some of the same territory as the elk is another animal that is sought avidly by wildlife viewers. Seeing a bighorn sheep is high on most visitors' lists. The bighorn is the official symbol of Rocky Mountain National Park, but it does not always accommodate the eyes and cameras of the curious. Bighorns are native to the area, but like the elk, fell prey to the thoughtlessness of a century ago. Lower elevation herds were eliminated. Market hunting, or killing for profit, was a widespread practice at the turn of the century. Conservation was not. Thanks to the efforts of the Colorado Division of Wildlife and the management by the National Park Service, these sure-footed, muscular creatures now roam Estes Park and accessible parts of the national park again.
Over on the Fall River entrance, we have an organization of volunteers called the Bighorn Brigade. They're there to both assist with traffic flow, but also to provide you information about the park wildlife and some of the activities that you can engage in safely to get that great wildlife picture or to get that great wildlife viewing opportunity.
Wintertime along Fall River Road or in the Big Thompson Canyon is the easiest time to spot sheep. They can be seen grazing near the Fall River entrance to the national park. In the Big Thompson Canyon, they can be seen anywhere, especially in and around the stretch called the Narrows. Both rams and ewes have horns. While the ewe's horns are small, mature rams are characterized by massive curls. These are not shed annually, so approximate age can be determined by the size of the curl. A full curl, for example, could mean that the animal is more than 10 years old. A mature ram may be over 3 feet tall and weigh 400 pounds. A mature female will weigh less than half that much. Lambs, which are born in remote areas, can be seen grazing with their mothers near the Fall River entrance to the national park, as well as at sheep lakes and horseshoe meadows. During the summer, herds become more scarce. Mature rams form groups that graze at higher elevations than the ewes and lambs. When breeding season arrives in the fall, the classic headbutting begins. They also kick and push each other to gain dominance. Normally, rams do not gain breeding status for several years, but young rams have been known to breed while their elders fight. Females breed beginning after 3 years. Recently, pneumonia reduced herd numbers. They appear now to be over this hurdle, which is one of nature's ways of controlling wildlife populations. But they are being carefully monitored. Sheep are more affected and victimized by stress than other of their ungulate cousins. Stress greatly increases their susceptibility to disease. Wildlife managers recognize this and ask that people make a conscious effort not to harass the animals when viewing and photographing.
One thing you need to remember when you're viewing sheep, these animals are very human habituated, but they get very nervous if you get above them or get too close to them. If you stay below them like we are, we're relatively close. We're only about 25 yards off, and they're acting completely normal, grazing, and they're not at all concerned that we're here. But if we were at this distance above them, they would be very skittish, and they wouldn't be acting normal, and you wouldn't get to see normal sheep behavior, and you'd also agitate the sheep. And now you can see some young rams challenging each other, and they do this throughout the year, and you know, decide who's going to be dominant. And then when the rut comes in November and December, the more mature rams usually do most of the breeding. The two biggest concerns we have for this sheep herd is the number of road kills, animal vehicle accidents we have along Fall River Road. So if you're driving in the area, you know, there's always a lot of deer and elk and bighorn sheep close to the road. So make sure that you keep your eyes open and drive slowly so you don't have the unfortunate experience of hitting an animal. Also, with more and more people enjoying wildlife, we have to make sure that we don't harass them getting closer than we really should be. As we're standing here, just photographing and watching these sheep, they're actually getting closer to us. They're totally unconcerned about us being this close. But if we would approach them or get above them, we would scare them. So be patient. Stay below your subject and take your time, and you'll get some great photographs and some real good memories of watching wild animals, acting naturally in their habitat. So make sure that you respect the animals and don't disturb them. You'll get better photographs, and also you'll be able to see how sheep act in the wild without being disturbed.
The western side of the Continental Divide drops dramatically into an area known as the Kawanichi Valley. This is the headwaters of the Colorado River. A series of streams and ponds here forms a wetland perfectly suited for the largest animal in the Rockies. This is the home of the moose. Daybreak, as other animals begin to stir, is a good time to spot these largest members of the deer family. They can be found alone or in small groups amongst the willows and groves of trees. Though appearing docile, moose are notoriously cantankerous. A safe viewing distance is a must for these imposing creatures. Mature bulls have a large rack for use mostly in showdowns during the rut, but they would have no problem using them on a careless photographer. As large as they are, moose can be very difficult to spot, not only in the thickets and the trees, but even when amongst the willows and the grasses. Nature has given this species a lush coat of fur, beautifully colored to match the environment. Cow moose have no antlers, but they have the other classic physical features, such as their hump and the dewlap under their chin. Immature bulls have a small rack which will develop to full size in a couple of years. The rut begins in late September. Rather than gather a harem as bull elk do, a bull moose will keep company with a solitary cow for a period of a week or so, and then find another. A young bull may choose to hang around in a somewhat confused adolescent state. He may even taunt his potentially dangerous older rival, with no consequence, if he is lucky. A large bull will usually ignore such indescript challenges. Adolescence can be a confusing time for a young bull moose, as is indicated by its interactions and conversations with adults. Although branches of willows and small trees in the marsh, combined with underwater vegetable delicacies, make up a large part of their diet, moose will also savor the bark of larger trees like the aspen. The skillful coordination of teeth, lips, and tongue can successfully remove rather large quantities of the bark. The food supply, cover, and expansive area of the Kawanichi Valley have enabled the magnificent moose to become a successful resident in this part of the Rockies. Also familiar in this habitat are mule deer. Though smaller than elk, they can be very impressive. A large buck will reach 200 pounds, while a doe can be 140 pounds. Mule deer are a favorite family attraction. Like the elk and sheep, they are traffic stoppers. It is always important to find a safe place to pull off the road to view the animals. It is also important not to crowd or feed them. Although mule deer seem quite well adapted to living around people, it is imperative to remember that they are wild, and that respecting this wildness is essential to their survival. Well-meaning individuals who feed the deer on private property are accidentally contributing to the spread of viruses among animals who share feed bins and troughs. Deer can also become surprisingly aggressive and dangerous when looking for handouts. Deer are primarily browsers, eating leaves and branches, and do not really compete with elk, who mostly graze on grasses for forage. Mule deer are seen just about everywhere in Estes Park and the National Park. In Estes Park, particularly good places to spot them are Prospect Mountain, Highway 34, and Spur 66. In the National Park, they are often seen near the park headquarters and along Highway 36 to Deer Ridge Junction. Historically, mule deer have been major contributors to the health of predator populations. The human predators in the late 1800s and early 1900s destroyed this natural balance. Not only did they remove all of the elk and most of the deer and sheep, but they decimated the large predator population. While wolves and grizzly bears were proudly eliminated, mountain lions, coyotes, and black bears managed to survive. Despite the loss of some predators, the herbivores that wander these mountains must always be aware of the potential danger that still stalks their pathways. Fortunately for the prey, it does not always end in victory for the lion.
Mountain lions are the last of the three species of large predators in the Estes Park area. Wolves and grizzly bears were extirpated about the turn of the century. But we have a very, very healthy mountain lion population around Estes. Of course, we have lots of deer and elk and bighorn sheep, and these are all prey species of mountain lions. I've seen several kills of each species, deer, elk, and bighorns, that mountain lions have taken, and some of these have been right in people's backyards. With the deer and elk right around town, we also have mountain lions. They also will take raccoons and small animals, including, unfortunately, your house cat or dog. And so we have to let residents know that they have to be cognizant that we do have mountain lions in the area. It's seldom you do see a mountain lion. They're very secretive and primarily nocturnal, but once in a while, yeah, you'll get lucky and see one.
Mountain lions, also known as puma or cougars, are masterpieces of predatory evolution and are the top predator at Rocky Mountain National Park. They are large and powerful, yet quiet, and can seem virtually invisible. These silent hunters rely on stealth. They may reach over 9 feet long, 1/3 of that being tail, and weigh 175 pounds. In recent years, cougars have become more and more common in the Estes Park area and in the lower elevations of Rocky Mountain National Park on both sides of the divide. They inhabit rocky outcroppings with adequate brush cover. A visitor is very unlikely to see a mountain lion, but it is a mysteriously gratifying feeling just knowing they are there. A visitor is liable to see a coyote. These crafty creatures are cautious, yet surprisingly bold at times, sometimes putting on their domestic dog act as they characteristically trot through yards. Coyotes can be seen almost anywhere in Estes Park, especially along Devil's Gulch Road. They are quite common in the National Park near Horseshoe Park, as well as in Moraine Park. Perhaps because of the demise of the wolf, coyotes in the park enjoy a wide range. The silence of the night is often broken by the sounds of coyote hunting parties. The unmistakable yips and yaps terrorize careless rodents, or even unlucky house pets who may fall prey to these opportunists. Coyotes feed on small animals and sometimes carrion. They will take a weakened deer, elk calf, or bighorn sheep. They are amazingly adaptable and play a valuable role in this ecosystem. The other large carnivore in the area is actually an omnivore. A black bear's diet consists of roots, berries, nuts, and insects, as well as animals. Cubs will experiment and try eating just about anything. Ordinarily, 1 to 3 cubs are born while females are in their winter sleep. They stay under the mother's care through the next winter. As human development has pushed further into the mountains, black bears have become somewhat more visible. Though it is unlikely, you may encounter an adult or cub during your explorations. The cubs seem cute and cuddly, but they should never be approached for obvious reasons. Bobcats, smaller cousins of the mountain lion, are seldom seen, but are fairly widespread throughout this community. They will eat ground squirrels, rabbits, birds, and occasionally a larger, injured, or weak animal. To understand bobcats, it is helpful to note their strong behavioral similarities to domestic cats. One resident that sometimes reveals itself is the red fox. In keeping with their reputation, they are sly, sneaky, and relatively efficient small game hunters. Mainly nocturnal, red foxes hunt by scent and surprise. Dens are frequently fashioned from the vacated homes of other animals. Their favorite haunts are along the forest edge near wetlands. One of the classic inhabitants of these mountains is the beaver. These famous hard workers alter the landscapes dramatically wherever they settle. Great places to see their handiwork are the beaver ponds at the national park. Their extensive dams and ponds represent these animals' amazing engineering feats. Not only do these ponds satisfy the beavers' needs, but the entire process of building a meadow and a forest is begun here. Beavers are aquatic vegetarians. They are much better swimmers than walkers. Their dens are fortified structures. A lodge is a den built in a pond. Mud and sticks make strong walls with underwater entrances. To actually see the creators of this architecture, viewers must usually wait until sunset. This is when the beavers become active and can be seen or heard building and rebuilding. Many other animals benefit from the beaver ponds. Muskrats take it even farther and take advantage of abandoned lodges. They will move in and form their own colony. Because they do not compete for food, the muskrat's vegetable diet is more varied. Beavers tolerate a coexistence near and adjacent to their lodges. Another beneficiary of the beaver ponds is the Colorado greenback cutthroat trout. This formerly endangered species is making a remarkable comeback. Another inhabitant of these woodlands is the curious-looking Aberth squirrel. Their striking appearance results from their tufted ears, full tails, and the quite common pure black color variations. The very noisy smaller cousin of the Aberths is the chicory, also known as a red squirrel. Locally, they are more of a gray-brown color. Of the furry mammals that entertain visitors to the higher elevations, the yellow-bellied marmot is one of the most popular. This is the largest member of the squirrel family in the area. These cuddly-looking ground dwellers are familiar sights on or near the alpine tundra. Boulders or logs are favorite home sites, where they sleep all night and are active eating and basking all day. They hibernate during the long, harsh winter of these mountains. Many other small mammals accent this intricate habitat. Chipmunks and ground squirrels are among the more visible. The least chipmunk is the smallest of the chipmunks. With a characteristic striped pointed face, these cute critters are delightful to watch. The golden-mantled ground squirrel frequents the rocks at parking areas in the national park. They look like large chipmunks, but lack stripes on their faces. The temptation for visitors is to feed the squirrels and chipmunks. This seemingly harmless practice is actually just the opposite. It can be a death sentence to the animal and can be dangerous to the human perpetrator.
We would like to remind visitors that when they are viewing wildlife, to remember that they are wild animals in a natural setting. Though they may seem friendly and not too fearful of you, it's very important that you don't approach them, and more importantly, don't try to feed them.
These are wild animals and should be kept so. Unnatural diets and erratic availability of food upset survival techniques. Bites and diseases from these animals are other good reasons not to feed them. Frequently seen at the tree-lined parking areas are the large, attractive Clark's nutcrackers. These members of the jay family use their long beaks to extract the seeds of pine cones. They will also eat insects. These intrepid birds, as well as their cousins, the gray jays, the stunning Steller's jay, and the aggressive magpie, have all been victimized by the negative impact of unnatural feeding. Today's visitors are becoming better educated, and the practice of feeding animals is hopefully on the decline. Children may lead the way with the help of innovative plans like the National Park's Junior Ranger program.
The idea of the Junior Ranger program is not just to learn about the park and the environment and have fun, but to foster a sense of stewardship that the kids can take with them when they leave Rocky Mountain National Park.
Waterfowl, including the familiar mallard, can be found practically anywhere there is water. These ducks take advantage of the small streams and beaver ponds, as well as large lakes and reservoirs. Many varieties of ducks, including redheads and shovelers, migrate through and reside in the area. Canada geese migrate through Rocky Mountain National Park, and as such are a fairly common sight. These, as well as many other waterfowl and birds, can be found in Lake Estes. The hiking and biking trail along the north shore of Lake Estes is an excellent place to observe birds of all varieties. Shorebirds and wading birds, like the white-faced ibis, migrate through in the spring as part of an extraordinary array of bird life. One migrant that nests here is the imposing great blue heron. Watch these shy giants from your car along Fish Creek Road on the southern section of Lake Estes. While hiking along streams, a careful observer may discover the unique dipper, or water ouzel. This little character has developed the ability to swim underwater in search of aquatic insects. First-time observers sometimes think their eyes are deceiving them, as the dipper dives and swims its way through the rushing water. Small birds are a crucial part of this environment, but some of the biggest attention getters are the tiniest. Darting about with incredible aerobatic skill, hummingbirds return each spring and stay all summer. The broadtail hummingbird is the most common species in the area. Birds of prey like the Swainson's hawk that migrate through the area are always major attractions. Red-tailed hawks, the most common here, are often seen riding columns of warm air, or thermals. A good place to see hawks is along Lumpy Ridge near the famous Twin Owls rock formations. Another marvelous raptor that has recovered from DDT devastation is the osprey. They are an excellent example of birds that migrate through Estes Park in the spring and fall. There are nesting pairs on the west side of the national park along the Colorado River and on adjacent lakes and reservoirs. These splendid fishhawks live wherever fish are plentiful. Viewed from a distance, they are a beautiful testament to successful wildlife management. The golden eagle is the largest raptor in these mountains. They can be seen soaring high above mountain meadows and ridges. Survivors of human habitat interference, eagles are an inspirational addition to any wildlife viewing experience. Owls, like the long-eared owl, are fairly common. Daylight hours are spent camouflaged in foliage. Hunters by night, great horned owls sit quietly by day in tall trees. In the spring, nesting can occur from remote spots in the national park to curiously adaptable urban locations. Careful study and management of these and other species by wildlife experts ensure their survival. A tiny relative of the great horned owl, the northern saw-whet owl is one of the many delightful small animals that silently watch as human hikers pass by. saw-whets feed on other animals, so are not always welcome guests when they attempt to move in too close to robins or other small birds. The healthy population of raptors in the area is directly related to the work of places like the Birds of Prey Rehabilitation Foundation. Thanks to the work of dedicated naturalists, birds like the red-tailed hawk, owls, prairie falcons, golden and bald eagles, and the notorious peregrine falcon are nursed back from injury and returned to the wild. Nothing can describe the rewarding feeling of returning a bird like the magnificent northern goshawk to its wilderness home in the Rockies. A home sacred to all of its inhabitants. A home to be treasured and preserved. A home for all who leave their footprints on the Rockies.